Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us here for Crime 2 News First at 4. I'm Whitney Ward.
And I'm Tom Sherry. A man is in custody after police say that he threatened to blow up a labor union building on North Division. It all happened this afternoon.
So that building also serves as the headquarters for the Spokane County Democrats. Crime 2's Amanda Rowley is joining us now live from the scene. She's got the latest for us tonight. Hi, Amanda.
Good evening, Whitney. Tom. Now, the area is no longer taped off and Division has now reopened in both directions, but police are still here on the scene. In fact, right now they're taking 3D imaging scans of this scene, and what that means is they're using that system so they can, during their investigation, look back at those images of what exactly this scene looks like after they've cleared the area. Now, Sergeant Terry Pruniger told us that a man walked into the Teamsters labor union building today with what appeared to be an explosive device. Officers on scene say the man repeatedly threatened to blow up the building and held one person in an office against their will. The officers found smoke when they went inside, which they say the man started. Police say everyone did get out of the building safely. Now, the Spokane County Democrats chair, Nicole Bishop, told me she believes this was a politically motivated incident.
He walked into an office in there with a backpack on. He had wires hanging out of the backpack and indicated that he had a bomb and he was intent on blowing the building up.
Now, Bishop mentioned that the volunteers who were in the building saw wires coming out of the backpack and was very aggressive toward them. Now, she had said that they'd never seen this man at their offices before, and there were at least 2 volunteers in the office at the time, possibly 3, but thankfully no one was hurt. Now, at this time, police are unsure if that device was in fact explosive, but we are expecting an update from Spokane police this evening. Again, that man who they arrested is now in custody. Reporting in North Spokane tonight, Amanda Rowley, Crime 2 News.
All right, Amanda, thank you very much. Spokane area ICUs are operating at about 80% capacity tonight, which is what the state considers to be the maximum of acceptable occupancy. Anything higher is generally believed to be a stress on the system. Now, at today's media briefing with the Regional Health District, Interim Health Officer Dr. Frank Velasquez said that healthcare leaders across the region are talking pretty much daily right now to try and stay ahead of increased demand. Right now, they're looking about 4 to 6 weeks in advance, trying to anticipate how many beds might be needed.
There's such demand that could get to the point of overloading the capacity that we have. So the best way to prevent that is the way we're doing it. And we also have strategies to mitigate in the event that we see an increase in patients going forward into the next several weeks.
Dr. Velasquez also said the hospitals are seeing more COVID infections that came after Thanksgiving holiday get-togethers. And today, the Spokane Regional Health District is reporting 230 new COVID cases. There are 2 new deaths, bringing the total number now to 295. At this point, we know 93 Spokane County residents are in the hospital. We're told 61% of people who have had COVID in Spokane County have recovered. Cases reported this week are expected to include the over 700 positive cases that are now connected to the Airway Heights Correctional Center outbreak. At that facility, 69 new cases have also just been reported since yesterday. And to put all of this into perspective, we've had almost 21,000 cases here in Spokane County confirmed so far since the very start of this pandemic. It took us about 8 months to reach 10,000 cases, but only 5 weeks to double that and get to 20,000.
And health leaders say we are now seeing the impacts of Thanksgiving gatherings and travel reflected in those local COVID-19 numbers. So let's break down the uptick in cases that has been happening since November 1st.
When Governor Inslee extended Washington's pandemic restrictions to January 4th, part of his logic was that COVID-19 cases have still continued to spike across Washington even after his restrictions were announced. So today we're asking a few questions about how that applies here in Spokane County. Are we seeing case numbers spike throughout the county. Second question, how do case numbers compare now to before Inslee's initial mandate? And finally, who has been hit the hardest by the latest COVID case numbers? So health officials across the country have said it takes about 10 to 14 days before we start to see the true impact from any holiday. So here we are today, seeing the post-Thanksgiving impact with 34 straight days of single-day case numbers over 100. That's this streak in the light blue. Now, before this streak, we only passed the 100 mark 25 times all year in Spokane County. Yesterday, we also saw a shocking new single-day record of 692 new cases reported in one day. Now, let's add some context. From the very first reported COVID case in March through the end of October, Spokane County has reported 9,985 cases in 232 days. But from November 1st through yesterday, we saw 9,967 cases reported, almost the same amount in just 37 days. So now as we add in the moving 14-day average over the top, we can start to answer some of those questions. Are we spiking right now? Well, if we had done this story yesterday, I would have said no, because look at how the average line has been leveling off. But then when we added in yesterday's new data, we can see that yes, there is a spike as of today. For our second question, how do case numbers compare now to the numbers before the mandate? Well, this plateau here at the end, this is directly linked to the start of Governor Inslee's new mandate last month. So the average immediately stops rising, then kind of plateaus here and levels out. So they didn't necessarily improve, but they did definitively level out here again until we saw those new record-breaking numbers. So our third question is, who's being hit the hardest? Well, we can see here, just like the rest of 2020, people in their 20s and 30s have been the two most heavily impacted age groups all year long. But since November 1st, those percentages are both dropping. People in their 20s and people in their 30s are both seeing the lowest percentages of the year. Meanwhile, almost every other age group has seen its percentage go up. People in their 40s, their 50s, their 60s, their 70s all saw increases except young people. So we're looking at teenagers here, older kids, younger kids, all saw their percentages drop, the only two age groups in the county. For KREM 2 News, I'm Joshua Robinson.
And Spokane Public Schools is one of 10 districts now across the state to be selected to begin a school-based COVID-19 testing program. For more information, let's go to Ian Smay in the newsroom.
Tom, the program is in collaboration with the Washington State Department of Health to enhance safety in schools and limit the spread of the coronavirus. SPS is hoping to start testing in January, and if it goes well, the program could expand to other area districts. Over the next few weeks, Spokane Public Schools says it will start educating staff and families with information about how it will all work, including testing protocol, the COVID-19 tests themselves, volunteer testing, and contact tracing. Also this week, Chaz Health opened a drive-thru at the Spokane Arena. The site is to be open 7 days a week from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. For information on testing sites in Spokane County, text the word TEST to 509-448-2000 and we'll text you the info. In the newsroom, Ian Smay, KREM 2 News.
All right, Ian, thank you very much, and we'll certainly stay on top of that. In the meantime, we want to turn things back over to Tom Sherry. And Tom, I was outside quite actually a lot today, very cloudy, very cool, and it looked like it was starting to get foggy. I don't know if maybe that was just the mist that was starting to move in. Was it foggy?
You're right, absolutely correct, and it was really foggy west of town. Traffic was slowed down on I-90 out towards the Davenport up to the Moses Lake area as we had dense fog out in those regions. So yeah, we did not burn off the fog and low clouds that we had hoped to do today. I thought we were going to get close to 40 degrees for the high today, but we struggled to get to freezing and just barely above freezing. We're at 32 degrees right now. I did see 33 just a little bit earlier. So again, this is not ideal conditions, but it's kind of what happens to us in December. We just kind of get, or in winter in general, we just get these low clouds and fog, and if we don't get any kind of wind coming in to mix things up or the sun to burn off the cloud cover, we just kind of get stuck with this. It's dry though, as you can see from the satellite and radar picture. We'll look for cloudy skies tonight, low clouds, some freezing fog around the area, down to about 27 degrees. We think we're going to see a bit of a wind shift tomorrow out of the northeast, maybe 5 to 15 mile per hour wind. wind. So that leads me to believe that we'll start off with clouds, low clouds in the morning. But if we get some of that wind moving in, it'll start blowing things out and mixing things up in the lower levels of the atmosphere. If that happens, we should see some sunshine by the afternoon hours, and we'll look for a daytime high of 39. If we don't burn off that cloud cover, we're not going to get that warm. Here's a look at your weekend forecast. Another system moves in Saturday night. Could bring us some snow showers Saturday night into Sunday morning before it changes over to rain. We'll look for 36 the high on Saturday, 37 on Sunday. Your 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.